Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Two for Talking podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tusick. We've got comedian Joe Bartnick. You can check him out February 17th at the Shamrock Comedy Club in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and also March 26th here in Pittsburgh at the Cadence Club in North Park, which is a nice venue. I've been there myself. And then, as always, you can check all his dates out at joebartnick.com. And we have the great Josh Yohe with The Athletic. And I want to thank our sponsors, Bill Neofis of Neofis Insurance Group and Danny's Pizza and Hoagies. So, guys, the opening shift here, we got a ton of stuff to get to. We can talk about goaltenders. We can talk about Avery Hayes, the Super Bowl, gearing up for the Olympics, you know. But first, I want to get your guys' thoughts on the Buffalo game because it felt like an excellent punctuation to put on the first half of the season, was it not?
Yeah, it really was. First of all, everybody, I was not in a bar fight last night. I have an infection in my eye. I'm doing my best Bob Costas impersonation, which I think is great since the Olympics are going on right now. So apologies for my appearance. But I will kick off before handing it over to you, Joe. I thought that was one of their best wins of the season when you consider 2/3 of the fourth line was out. Raquel gets hurt in morning skate. He's out. You're already playing without Letang. It's the last game before the break, which a lot of teams like to kind of just, can blow that one off. You're already thinking about being in the Bahamas in 2 days or wherever they're going. And then consider the fact that you're playing in Buffalo, which has been one of the best teams in the league for 2 months now. It had all the makings of a loss. And not only did they win 5-2, but I thought it was a pretty convincing win. I thought they were really impressive in that game. And I just go back to Dan Muse and the job that he has done coaching this team. And just the depth that was on display, even on a night when Sid, again, wasn't really himself. He's been off for a couple of weeks. Didn't matter. They still generated all kinds of offense with Avery Hayes leading the way, and we'll get to him. I just thought it was a wonderful win for them.
Josh, I feel exactly the same thing. It was a wonderful win, and it is enabling me to enjoy, well, I'm not even enjoying it because they're not playing, but just 3 weeks of happiness. I mean, imagine going in on a 3-game losing streak, but we didn't. We had a beautiful showing when we went trucking up to Buffalo. Kindle played incredible as well as Avery Hayes. I mean, what a story. And I thought it was one of the gutsiest wins they had, because Buffalo tried to come back and they just wouldn't let them. I mean, 5 stars all the way around. I just thought it was just a great way to end the, before the Olympic break portion of the season and solidified second place. It was a much, I mean, if they were going to end up in Detroit on Saturday, it may not have been as big of a win, but you know what? It really was a big win. Even if they were still playing right now, they needed to end that losing streak, and they had to do it against Buffalo, who they may be seeing again in some wild card, debate.
Well, you never know. No, and it's funny. We talked last week about those 2 games upcoming, and we all said 3 out of 4 points would be good. You'd have rather have gotten the win on the island, I suppose. But I will say, I thought they played pretty well against the Islanders that game before. Skinner was not good that game. They outplayed the Islanders pretty clearly. It was a nice bounce-back performance from the Ottawa game. And then to just maintain that momentum and play even better. And by the way, they fell behind 1-0. Speaking of impersonations, She Loves goes up the goal in the first shot of the game. We've read that book before. And I was thinking, oh boy, okay, this Buffalo team's red hot. Here we go. And really from that point on, that they were very much in control of that game. Even though I didn't think Buffalo played poorly, I just thought the Penguins, they just executed their plan to perfection all night. This is the kind of win, you're right, Joe. It should make everybody feel good about this team for the next couple of weeks. It was the perfect way to end the unofficial first half of the season. And during that game, I just found myself, I was thinking to myself, like, I think this team's good. Like, I think this team's for real. I'm not watching this game right now and seeing much in the way of weakness. And I think they have every reason to feel good about themselves right now.
Josh, I'm going to take a snapshot in that game. She Loves with Tage Thompson bearing down. Poke check, save. Might have been the save of the season. And, for everybody in Canada and everyone in America that wants to go, oh, Tage Lemieux. Lemieux marries that shot. Well, that's just living proof that Tage Thompson will never. I mean, we all know he'll never be anyway. But I mean, come on. I mean, but tap of the stick to Archer Shilovs. I just thought it was just a gutsy performance by everybody on that team.
It was, and I'm glad you brought up Shilovs because as good as Skinner has been for the most part since being acquired from Edmonton, he's not been good the last 2 games. He has certainly fallen off a little bit. And Shilovs, we all give him so much shit for the shootouts, and understandably so. He's terrible in shootouts. But if you look at his body of work during like the last 6 to 8 weeks, especially, he's been pretty good. He really has been. His athleticism has been on display. I thought that game in Buffalo was one of his best games of the season, which gets us back to the same discussion. Like, I'm not sure who the number 1 goalie is right now. I said Skinner for sure a couple of weeks ago when they gave him 3 out of 4 starts in Western Canada. And I think if they had one game that they had to win, they would probably play Skinner. But I feel like Shilovs is all of a sudden back in the running for a little bit more playing time with the way he's played.
And you know what? Something about because they're the fishermen. And since 1975, maybe when my grandfather was smoking Camels and I was half paying attention, since the 82, since 93, the worst loss in Pittsburgh history, in my opinion, to the 2000s. Maybe it's just the fishermen, but I never thought they were going to win that game. Even when they were winning that game,
No.
You knew something was going to happen. And they played pretty well in that game. Not as good as they had at some points this season. Not when they looked like a machine, when Corey's, buying his Stanley Cup t-shirts. But they played pretty good. And just that Skinner couple squeakers we didn't need. And maybe that's the curse of the fishermen, but just something about
nothing ever feels good up there.
He could have made a save, Josh. It wasn't his fault they lost, but he could have made a save.
Yeah, no, I kind of think it was his fault they lost that game. Actually, I didn't think he was good that. I mean, the 4th goal in particular, when they were up 4-3 with 5 minutes left.
That's the one. That's
right?
the squeaker.
He's been pretty good. I'm not going to be too harsh on him, but you're right. I always say the Islanders are to the Penguins what the Capitals are or what the Penguins are to the Capitals. Like there's some franchises you just don't want to see in the first round of the playoffs because of the history. Nothing goes right for the Penguins on the island. It's literally been that way their entire existence. Even in 2013, when they finally beat them in a playoff series, they just barely did. And that Penguins team was loaded and that Islanders team was awful.
Yeah.
It's just always a bad matchup for them. I didn't think it was the end of the world, though, to get a point. But then to finish things off properly in Buffalo, and I mentioned earlier with the depth that was on display, and I promise we're going to get to Avery Hayes, but you mentioned Ben Kindle. He was their best player for the last 2 weeks. Like, he was that good. And his defensive work has been great all season. That hasn't wavered. But he just looks literally 10 steps faster right now. He has been explosive the last few games, and he downplayed it when I asked him about it. But I really think just having that big game in Vancouver in his hometown, scoring 2 goals, I think that had to have done something for his confidence. He looks like a completely different, energized player since then. And I don't know what his ceiling is, and we're not going to know for years. He's 18 years old, but geez, what a player he is right now.
Can we just get whatever his mom made for him and give it to the whole team?
Yeah.
Josh, I want to jump off of that point, though, because I think it's a important point that as much as he wasn't scoring, and as much as we were all sitting here saying you might just need a day off, not a punitive where you're getting scratched, just to take a breath, young man. He never let his defensive responsibilities or his effort or a boo-boo face ever. And that shows the quality of the human being that he really is. I mean, we have a gem here.
Oh, he is so mature. Like, I asked him, I said, did that big game in Vancouver do something for your confidence? And he said, I don't know about that. He said, it's really important for me to, not get too full of myself because I score a couple of goals. And I don't want to get too down on myself if I have a stretch where I don't score. I try to just be as good as I can every game. And it sounds cliched, but he really meant it. Like, it just has a real professional, mature point of view. I'm not going to compare him to Sid that way because there's only one Sid, but there aren't many teenagers that come around who talk like that.
No.
And kid's 18 years old. I'm telling you, he's just different. And getting to know his the Billet family that he lived with for 2 years in Calgary, such nice people. And they told me that the Billet father told me, he said 15 years from now, he's still going to be a great player in the NHL and he's never going to get into trouble and he's going to treat everybody with respect. Like he's just an unbelievable human being. Like there's something special about this kid. So I think both the person and the player, this could really be one of the great draft picks in Penguins history. I don't think it's too early to say that. I think he might be that good. And everyone that gave Dubas and Clark all the trouble for drafting him at 11 when they thought he should have been drafted at 15 or 20.
I'm right here. I'm the
It's
first
like
one in line.
it's like none of us knows. Like we don't cover these prospects. We just base it on what we're told and what we've read about them. We don't know. And maybe the Penguins do know because there is something special about this kid. The more I watch him play, man.
I love, I mean, this is something we could get into pre-draft, for summer programming, talking about redrafting the kid, but I mean, if people knew what they know now, there's no chance he's there at the 11th overall pick. So
no, he's a top 5 pick if they know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't want to jinx it, but I do know Porter Martone is a bad MFer though.
Yeah.
This is true story.
He's a man. He changed everything at Michigan State. Now they're like the Flyers East. Speaking of which, I want to talk real quickly about I know Dumba and I know you, Josh. He's buried for good, maybe, but he did have a hat trick on Friday night. Thank you, Pittsburgh Sports Network, or whatever they call themselves, for showing the Wilkes-Barre Scranton versus the Phantoms, because I like to teach them all young where everyone stands. The baby Penguins 6, the Phantoms 5, Dumba with the Mad Hatter, because then Hayes had the night off, and so Hayes shows up Saturday and gets a hat trick. So we can talk about Mr. Hayes right now, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, what a story. Like, so, okay, let's go back to last Thursday. Avery Hayes wakes up in Wilkes-Barre. Okay. Gets the phone call. Hey, might need you today. Blake Lazat's wife's in labor. He's out tonight. And
we lost Josh. Don't worry, he'll be back because he said he'll go to his phone if he struggles. I'll just text him real quick. But
well, I'll go to the joke I used on my soft dump segment last week about everything that happened with those injuries, and say, first of all, it's the first kid, Corey. That kid's not going to come out right away.
No,
I don't understand. He's just in Buffalo. Like, you have private jets. You got to play that game. It's the biggest game of the year. You're going to make it back before your wife spits the kid out. I mean, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be an old man or whatever from a different era. But I mean, it's Buffalo. It's not like you're in Calgary. You'll get back. I mean, and then the second thing was, I don't know if you heard that, Josh, but your baby, it's an hour away. I mean, there's private jets. Yeah. How can you miss it's the biggest game? It's the first kid, Josh. Babies, the first one doesn't come out very fast. He has an hour to get back.
If it's the second one, get on
in Buffalo. But the other thing is, Achari, you're sick. That's why they invented Mucinex. Well, you think you're going to get Wally pipped? How you miss that game?
Well, first of all, can you hear me, guys? Has the phone worked? Great.
Yes.
So
can't blame Canada for this one.
No, I can't. Like, the times have changed. I mean, guys just miss games when their kids are born now. It didn't used to be that way. It's the way it is.
You got to do what Mario did and put up 5 after Austin scored.
That's right. That's right. But you mentioned Wally Pipp, and I'll tell you something I was told the other day by somebody in the organization. I was told, and I didn't want to write this word for word because you never know. But I was told, don't be shocked if Avery Hayes is back on this roster when the season resumes. Like that's how much of an impression he made. That's how good they think he might be. And listen, I wrote it today. Like, we pretty much know who their top 12 forwards are. The fourth line has been great. We know you got Kindle between the big guys. We know you've got Gino and Novak and Chinnikov, and we got Sid and Rusty and Raquel. Okay. Maybe they think Avery Hayes is better than Noel Chari right now. And that's
Yeah.
okay if they do. Like, there's nothing wrong with having that option. And I know it was only one game, but he was impressive. And when you look at the numbers he's starting to put up in Wilkes-Barre now, maybe it's just time for him to graduate. And I think he's impressive, guys. I really do.
Joe, you say this all the time, but you don't want fourth liners working on their vacation home. You want them living in the hotel room. And, not saying that they're taking anything away from what we have going on right now, because the Lions are great, but it's kind of like a salesman. You want them to be hungry. You don't want the fourth liner sitting there going like, oh, Kevin Hayes is behind me. Like, of course I'm not getting pulled out of the lineup. But if it's Avery Hayes, Rucker McGroarty and Avery Hayes is the other two options. You better be on your P's and Q's.
That's a great point, Corey, especially about the Rutger about the Rucker McGroarty, because I think he's played very well.
Yes.
I just don't think he has a spot, which is in a weird way, but the fourth line is better than the sum of their parts. So you don't want to break up that magic. And I've been a Rusty Nail guy since he was in Minnesota. And I've always backed Mr. Dewars. But I think McGroarty has a little more upside. Although Dewars has been scoring, so I don't even know I can say that.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. I think Rutger's been much better since he's been called up. We saw what Hayes did. I know it's one game, but when he goes back to Wilkes-Barre and gets a hat trick, and when you consider the way his numbers are starting to balloon in Wilkes-Barre anyway, it's a matter of time. And I know that fourth line's been great. I know it has. So I'm not suggesting that they should break it up. You can always be better. I mean, if you have players you think are even better, that's okay. And moving forward next season, like I always do these Q&As, and Lizotte got the 3-year extension, and I have people sending me these questions. When are you going to re-sign the rest of the fourth line? You got to keep that line together. I said, I don't know that you do. Sometimes fourth lines are like bands. They don't really stay great for long. Like sometimes there's an expiration date there. And yes, they're having a great season. That sure. But what if you could have a fourth line of Lizotte and McGroarty and Hayes next year? Wouldn't that theoretically be better and even cheaper? Like, these are things you have to consider. And I think Avery Hayes, I don't think he's ever going to be a top 6 guy in the NHL, but I think he can be a really, really good bottom 6 guy.
Yeah, and I think we've really gotten the most out of Noel Acciari.
Yes.
Like, I can't see him being better next year.
No. And he's going to be 35 next year. Like,
yeah, I do like Dewars, though, so I'm not ready to get rid of Dewars. But yeah, I mean, they're not Clutterbuck, Cizikas, and Matt Martin.
That's right. And there's nothing wrong with having all of them here at the same time. They have so much cap space. Like, like Corey said, if you want to push some guys, there's nothing wrong with that. And people are going to get hurt anyway. That's the way it is. So now you're in a spot where if a couple of forwards get hurt, you still don't have to put Kevin Hayes into the lineup in a playoff game, which I think is ideal. I mean, you got McGroarty and you got Avery Hayes, who are pretty damn good options at 13 and 14, are they not?
Well, that's what we woke up with, to get back to that last Thursday, when we woke up and found out that Raquel's not playing and neither is Lizotte. And, it's like, oh my God, we're going into the biggest game of the year and Kevin Hayes is getting a sweater.
Yeah. I mean, I'd never bet against Pittsburgh teams, but if I did, I might have laid some money on that one because it didn't feel good that morning.
No. And Hayes played okay. He didn't embarrass himself. He was fine. But what Avery Hayes did in that game, like, the whole story is so great. Like, finally at noon, they're like, you better get to Buffalo. So he has like a team employee drives him. He takes a little nap in the car. I'm sure that's a beautiful drive from Wilkes-Barre to Buffalo. I can only imagine. Oh God. And, halfway through the drive, he gets the text like, hey, Acciari can't play tonight. You're in, just so you know. So he shows up. He was actually like half dressed in the parking lot, shows up 2 hours before the game with like half of his uniform on. And he just walks in like through the fans to get into the building. And less than 2 hours later, he's scoring 2 goals in the first period. Like, really? That kind of stuff. People in my line of work, we love that. That's a nice, easy storyline there. And I can tell you, just from getting to know him a little bit in training camp, just an unbelievably likable guy. He's like an old school hockey player. He just got that hockey player grin on his face all the time. Him and McGroarty are best friends. And I've told this story. I'm going to tell it one more time though. McGroarty, because I think the Penguins need some of this. McGordy was telling me about Avery Hayes last year. I said, man, I keep hearing good things about Avery Hayes. And Rucker says, yeah, like every 5 games, he just comes up to me like during warm-ups before a game, and he says, yeah, I'm going to be a real prick tonight. And I'll be like, all right, what do you mean? Then he goes, you'll see. And then the first shift of the game, he just runs a goalie. Like, oh, well, okay. And then he has just a grin on his face the whole time when he starts a brawl. Like, he's one of those guys, he's an agitator, but he's tough even though he's undersized. Penguins haven't had much of that in recent years. And I've had so many scouts tell me, like, he's got a little bit of Max Talbot in his game. There's something about him. Like, this guy can really play. So, again, a Kyle Dubas find. This is a guy who is an undrafted free agent. And he looks like a player to me. I really like him.
And shout out to Staggy, by the way, because he brought him up on the show.
Staggy loves him. Yeah.
He was a very big fan of his. And,
Yep.
and I forget who said this. I wish I could give credit. But I remember somebody early on when Max Talbot came up. I think he still went back down to Wilkes-Barre for a minute. But I remember somebody saying, like, that kid, he knows he comes through in big games. You're going to like this kid. And then he became Mr. Game 7. So, I mean, obviously, that came true. Not saying that Avery Hayes is going to score 2 goals to win the Stanley Cup, but if that happens, I'll be thrilled. But I appreciate that. That comparison saves me from putting him down as like the next, Yarmer Yager. Like, because when he scored 2 goals, the inner Yinzer in me is like, oh my god, like this is the best player that's ever played.
Let's not go that far. But.
Well, I want to have some muscle on the team then. I want to keep Big Braz around. I want to keep Mo Mantha around. If he's going to be running around, they better have some 6'5" guys.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse to me than when someone runs around and then Gino and Sid have to answer for it.
That's right. And one thing to keep in mind,
it's like you can do that in Wilkes-Barre because you have the Ugandan nightmare.
That's right. And one thing to keep in mind, even though it won't necessarily be relevant to this season or next, but we talk about, Ben Kindle being drafted 11th overall. I think there were 5 or 6 guys in their draft picks this year that were 6'5". Like that was very clearly on the agenda for Dubas to make everyone in this organization bigger. So there is a lot of muscle, a lot of size on the way, which I think is certainly not a bad thing. And in fact, I think we've seen the difference that it has made at times this season already. They're not being pushed around the way they were the last few years.
Oh, no. I just real quick, I was watching a Penguins Classic a few days ago against the Atlanta Thrashers. So it was a classic.
Oh, wow.
But here's who the Penguins dressed that night. A fourth line of Oliwa, the all-time great goons. Oliwa, McKenna, and Barnaby.
Jesus Christ.
Also participating that night were Kevin Stevens was up with the big guy, and on defense, Bobby Bugner.
Oh, I love Bugner.
Both could throw some hammers. They were going to win the fights that night.
Yeah, they were. No, that is a tough lineup for sure. I actually saw something, sometimes things pop up on your YouTube feed or whatever. I saw some Bugner Eric Lindros fight. It was like the anniversary of their fight yesterday or something. So I took a moment out of my day to watch it. I thought it was the right thing to do. But I mean, listen, these Penguins, they're not the Broad Street Bullies, but this is the toughest team they've had in years.
Yep.
And little thing, like guys like Mantha dropped him a couple of times, or at least once early in the year. But you watch when there's a disturbance, he's not afraid to step in. He always does. He let you know he'll let you know he's there. And I think Brazo's similar, and even Parker Wotherspoon, like he's got a temper. Like he snaps every once in a while, which I think is good. You need that on your blue line. So does Clifton. He's always headhunting. So they've just got some guys. I wouldn't even just say the Penguins are tougher this year, even though they are. I would say for the first time in a long time, they have some people who will initiate the tough stuff. And it's always like waiting for something bad to happen. Then Sid or Gino has to defend himself. They got some guys who are looking to start trouble on occasion, and that's okay.
Yeah, and not ducking after they do it either. So
that's
right.
A
nice thing. Wotherspoon and those guys, they will defend themselves. But yeah, just nice, just having Mantha and Braz, just put the big arm on your shoulder. Like if you want to dance, we can dance, but just calm down.
That's right.
That's all you need. I mean, I know we're getting into all the but one thing we don't have, and I do like the Russian kid, He's a big body. We don't have that's why I'm looking at Pareko, I'm looking at other guys. We don't have the one guy in the 5 or the 6 hole. Pareko would probably be in the top. Oh, he'd definitely be in the top 4. That just clears the crease. I think that's the one thing Dubas needs to get at the deadline. I'll say it from now until the deadline, then I'll cry when he doesn't get one. They need a guy that when Tommy's standing there or whoever's standing there from there, or Sezikis or whoever's just standing there and trying to breathe on Shelob, just comes through and just, no, the snow plow. Just get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They don't have that guy. And every great Stanley Cup team has that guy.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Absolutely need that. They need that. They need the guy that's like Bane in the Batman movie, like puts his hand, like you said, put the hand on the shoulder, like, do you feel in charge? You know,
no, it's true.
Speaking of, you know, let's get into the trade targets a little bit. I know who Joe wants. Josh, do you know of anything? I'm curious. Do you agree with Joe? You like that line of thinking? And also, do you know anything about what Kyle Dubas is thinking? Is there any inside information that you're gleaning from the Penguins?
A little bit. For those who don't know, the trade deadline is March 6th, so not that far away. We're about 25 days away from the trade deadline, I think it is. It is right around the corner. I've talked with people in the organization, and they are of the belief that Kyle would really like to get another defenseman. I don't have much more information other than that. I think a right-handed defenseman would make a lot of sense, given that Letang is still out for probably close to a month and St. Ivany's out for 6 or 7 more weeks. Especially if, God forbid, anything happened to Carlson in the Olympics. Like that, they're already pretty shallow on the right side. And I will say one thing in the Buffalo game I noticed that I didn't like, and it's not his fault really, but Ryan Shea is not as good on the right side. Like, he's doing his best playing the offside. He's not. I thought he struggled a little bit in that game. He is so much better on the left side. So I really think they need a right-handed defenseman. And from what I've heard, Kyle wants to get a defenseman. So I haven't heard any names or even necessarily a style, but there are guys out there, right-handed guys who know how to clear the crease a little bit. Connor Murphy's a name you're going to hear of Chicago. There's, I don't know if you consider Justin Falk that kind of a guy. He's a pretty big guy. I don't know if he's a crease clearer like Joe was saying. Probably not. But there are guys out there, and I think the Penguins will make an effort to get one. Those guys don't come cheap. That is one, I think, relevant concern. But I think Kyle will do something. I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
Josh, I think Justin Falk is not exactly what I'm looking for, but he is a very good defenseman, and he is a complete upgrade. That would be the Sully style of just play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Connor Murphy, no, thank you. No, thank you. I mean, that's just, to me, it's a lateral move. What, he's been around. He's never played on a team that was any good.
It's true.
You know,
he came around to Chicago right when they were done winning. That is true.
Yeah, no, I'm good on that. Yeah, I'd rather just have St. Ivy throw the puck over the glass.
Good point.
Which is bound to happen.
And then to the goaltending too. We talked about it a little bit, and Josh, you talked about it in your article, but you said the Penguins have a best man may win mentality when it comes to goaltending, and whether that's the guy down in Wilkes-Barre, Sergei Miroshov, who, he had like 2 bad games and then right back to his typical .940 save percentage. Yeah. Like it's unreal, and I'm not saying anything against Shelovs or our new guy blanking on his Skinner. I'm not saying anything against them, but if we're going to have a real run, do you have more faith in them or do you have more faith in the young guy?
Well, it's a fair question, and nobody really has the answer to that question, right? I mean, Skinner had a really nice run. The last 2 games weren't so good, which I think maybe plants some doubt, like, okay, is this kind of Skinner becoming Skinner? He's always been, much like Jari, kind of a streaky guy. Shelovs has been much better lately. He's been pretty good. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that's really going to carry a team, though. And you always have Miroshov in your back pocket. And I've talked with people in the organization who have said, like, listen, if the other 2 guys stumble a little bit, they're not going to hesitate to bring him up. Like, everybody knows how talented he is. We've seen it. I will take you back to 2001. A guy named Moose Hedberg, who certainly did some great things, was a total no-name, kind of a minor league goalie, showed up and he was their best goalie. All of a sudden, was pretty good. Like, I don't think they're afraid to bring up Murashov if they think he's their best answer. And you said it, Corey. He's been outstanding the last couple of weeks in Wilkes-Barre. He had a little rough patch. He actually had 2 bad games for the first time in his life, I think. And all of a sudden, he just goes back to playing dominant goal once again. So I feel like Skinner is probably in the driver's seat just barely right now. But I'm telling you, if these two guys both stumble a little bit during that tough schedule in March, and if the Penguins are in some kind of danger at that point of not making the playoffs, they'll bring up Murashov. I'd be shocked if they didn't.
I'd almost be stunned if they don't, just because of how heavy the schedule is. Like in my mind, I look at those 16 games in 31 days and think you have to play 3 goalies. There's, it seems like it's going to be a little. You're going to get an injury, fatigue, what have you. I feel like it's going to happen.
Could be. I think it's 17, by the way. It's an obscene schedule. And whatever it is. Yeah, it's conceivable. It is. But I think Murashov, like, I don't know how much more he has to prove at the American Hockey League level. He is much like Matt Murray was once upon a time. Other guys, Braden Holtby, John Gibson, guys who have played like that full year in the American Hockey League. At some point, it's like, yeah, it's about that time, because you're only going to get so much better at that point. I don't know that he's to that point yet, but he's clearly too good for that league. I mean, we're starting to see that it's obvious at this point.
We just had a great listener just wrote in. Would you consider Luke Schenn? And all I can say about Luke Schenn is that my man Mikko Rantanen took Luke Schenn to the Sadie Hawkins dance. Or should I say Luke Schenn took Mikko Rantanen to the Sadie Hawkins dance, because he looked like a girl and Mikko Rantanen danced right around him.
It's kind of funny that Luke Schenn always wants to play for a contender, and now the Penguins might look pretty good to him. I'm going to guess that's not going to happen based on the way things went last season. They can probably do a little better than Luke Schenn, if I had to guess. It is interesting to see what the market will be, though. Like,
they have to do better than Luke. They have to do better than Luke Schenn, or I just keep Ivany. Keep the good vibes going. I mean, Luke Schenn looked. I know Ivany can get danced as much as anybody else, but Luke Schenn's past his prime. I mean, how about Caleb Jones? You could have given me 100 guesses of what drugs he was caught doing. Performance enhancing wasn't one of them.
No, I mean, it does happen around the league. We all know it does. Apparently, he handled it as well as I heard. He literally called Kyle Dubas and said, "Hey, I tested positive. I'm not going to lie to you. Here's what happened." And I think Dubas appreciated the transparency. Like, all right, well, we're going to keep you around. So he'll be available before the playoffs, but he certainly isn't a crease clearer like you were talking about. That's not his game.
He played ridiculously better than I thought he was going.
Oh, yeah. No, he was fine. So they have depth on the blue line. I don't think depth is an issue, especially when St. Ivany and Letang get healthy. Even Graves has been better this year. If he's your 8th defenseman, you can live with that. And Jones is your 9th defenseman. But I just feel like they need a guy to play on the right side with Shea. I think that's the one clear thing I see when I look at their roster. Letang has been way better with Kulak. For whatever reason, those two have worked, which is great. We know Carlson and Wotherspoon have been wonderful together. Ryan Shea's a pretty good player. You know, he's a legitimate third pairing defenseman. But I think even though Clifton's been all right, I think they like him better as a number 7 guy. To get one more guy to play with Shea would be great. How much do you have to give up? That's always the question. Nobody necessarily has the answer to that question. I don't think Kyle's in a spot where he's going to be giving up a first-round pick for anybody. But they do have draft picks to spare. They obviously don't have any salary cap concerns. I would expect them to get a defenseman. I really would.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to get into a couple things before we talk Olympics. I want to ask you about Evgeny Malkin, but because it's that time. It's Olympic time. But before we get to that, Mr. Bill Neofis, He had to have been pretty pleased with that game. And then also, I'm curious, did he watch the Super Bowl? Did he have any questions, comments on about the New England Patriots?
You will be happy to know that I had lunch with Bill yesterday at BJ's in the North Hills, and he was just gleaming. He was glowing because the New England Patriots just got their asses beat in the Super Bowl. Bill's no fan of the New England Patriots. So he was quite pleased with the way that game went. And for those who don't know by now, I'm talking about Bill Neofus. He's the leader of Neofus Insurance Group, located very conveniently in the North Hills. We tell you every week to give our man Bill a call. I'm going to give you the number right now. It is 412-364-3388. I'll give it to you one more time. Write it down. Be old-fashioned. 412-364-3388. They're open until 6 o'clock every day except for Sunday, I think. Give Bill a call, whatever your insurance needs are. Home insurance, life insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance, pet insurance. I've learned so much just from doing these promos for Bill. It's like, wow, maybe I should get insurance on that. That's great. Nicest guy in the world. They love talking Pittsburgh sports. And much like our friends at Danny's, they've been open since 1960. So they've been a part of the Pittsburgh community for, is my math right? 66 years, which is a number Penguins fans like. Yeah, 66 years. So give our man Bill a call. He's the best.
I think we need a Neofus.
It's the perfect temperature too, 66.
Yeah, it is.
We need a Neofus 66 jersey.
Am I the only Yinzer who always makes the hotel temperature 66 when I check into a hotel room? I like when it's cold in the hotel room. It's actually perfect.
Oh yeah, no, I can always hang meat in my hotel rooms. I love it. Sleep in the dark.
Thank you, Bill, as always. So as I mentioned, early on in the season, Kyle Dubas said, Gino wants an extension. Gino's made it very clear that he wants an extension. He wants to play one more year. And his play has certainly dictated that. And Dubas said to you, I believe, Josh, and other media members that, when the Olympics roll around, we'll talk extension. And here we are. It's the Olympic break. Is there any news, any updates on whether or not that conversation has happened?
Well, first of all, he didn't specifically say we'll talk extension. He said we'll talk. I think it was assumed. Mm-hmm. We all know what's going on here. Gino wants another contract. Gino's agents want him to have another contract. The Penguins obviously have been hesitant about it. Otherwise, they would have given him a contract last summer when they could have, much like they did with Sid a couple of summers back. So we know the deal. Gino has exceeded expectations. He's played great this season. So we'll find out soon enough what Kyle Dubas is thinking. And that doesn't mean an extension will be signed right now. They might simply be talking about the parameters for such of an extension that they might sign after the season. That's perfectly possible. I don't think Kyle Dubas and the Penguins wanted to give Gino a new contract. I really think they were ready to move on from him. In fact, I know they were last summer. That was made very clear to me. I suspect he has surprised everybody with how he's played this season. He's been great. So will Dubas cave? Will the Penguins cave? Will they alter their plans a little bit to bring him back for another year? Probably, if I had to guess. I don't know that it's quite the slam dunk the way the fan base thinks it is. There's no guarantee Gino's going to play this well next year at 40. He's probably not. I mean, that's what we've learned from age, at that age, right? I mean, he does get hurt a lot. That's something you have to consider as well. But the biggest thing for me, are you going to find a top six player, which I think he still is, who's willing to play cheap like he is? I don't know that you are. So it might just make the most sense for the team to bring him back, even though it has nothing to do with the romantic idea of, bringing Gino back for another year. I don't think Kyle cares about that. Kyle's interested in winning a hockey team. But this isn't just about nostalgia, Joe. Like, Gino's playing really well.
I think that is the point. If he's taking $4 million, he can play center, left wing, right wing, and he's doing it very well. And he is an icon. And if anything, he's the Chinnacock whisperer. Yep. They play great on the line together. You're not going to find somebody better for $4 million that still has moments of magic. And let's say he does get dinged a little bit next year. He's only $4 million. I don't know. I think it's a no-brainer. I will say this though, as the biggest Geno fan there is, he didn't pick a good 3 games to go into the break with.
No, he didn't.
He kind of looked like old bad Geno, and I'm going to use the excuse because it looked apparent his shoulder was bugging him, especially defensively.
Yeah, he had 2 games in a row when like direct giveaways led to goals, and he almost did it against the Islanders too. He got bailed out. He's not 100%. I mean, it was especially evident during the Rangers game. He was literally flexing his shoulder like in between breaks constantly. So yeah, he's banged up. He needs to get healthy. And Corey, to go back to your question, I don't think they've met yet. I haven't been told that they have, but it's going to happen over the break at some point. My sense was it would probably be later in the break once everybody's back in town from the Olympics. I think Gino's going to Florida for a while. They're going to talk, and we will see. We all know what the fan base wants. We all know what Sidney Crosby wants. We all know what Gino wants. That'd be a lot for Kyle Dubas to turn down, but I think just from the standpoint of making your team better next season, I don't see how you're hurting yourself by bringing him back on the cheap. And I will say this too, Joe. Gino's a really prideful guy. He's not going to get one more contract and then just blow off next year. Like he's not that kind of guy. He'll be in shape. He does not want Pittsburgh's final memories of him to be a negative one.
Yeah, I mean, he's changed the narrative. Even his harshest critics have now given it the fact, yeah, we might have him back another year. It's not just me, who just want him back. And he's really played, except for like the last 3 games and maybe 2 before that, really, really good hockey. And he's played great at $6 million. He's an over point per game player at wing right now. It's $6 million is a bargain. At 4 would be a steal.
And his line is the Penguins' best line right now. And he's obviously playing a big role in it. And I think for whatever reason, his skating is better now than it has been in 4 or 5 years. I mean, he is like noticeably faster this season than he was last season, which I think goes to show just the work he has put in. And you have to give him credit for that.
And before the last 3 games, he was defensively responsible. Other than like playoff Gino, definitely the best regular season responsibility I've ever seen him play with. Yeah. And I'm not trying to knock a hero, but probably had less damning turnovers than Sid this year.
Yeah.
No, and he's also got a better point per game than Sid this year, just barely, if I'm not mistaken. They're about the same. So no, listen, Gino's been great. He's one of the stories of the season. I was not expecting him to play at this level. I don't think anybody was. He's motivated. And honestly, if I were Dubas, this might sound like a little dirty, but I'd make him wait till the end of the season. I would. I'd say, all right, keep playing like this. I'll sign you after the year. I wouldn't want to change anything up right now because he has such of a chip on his shoulder. He is so motivated to play again next season. I'd make him keep doing what he's doing. Then I'd reward him.
Yeah. No, that's not a bad idea. And I just want him. I mean, it's funny, Josh. You have no idea how often, if my son had your phone number, how much he'd text you because it's his favorite player. Like he got, how kids are. They get real sad randomly, and then like we're watching a Penguin. I'm like, what? And he goes, Gino might retire. And so he'll ask me. He'll say, "Does Josh know if Gino's going to get signed?" I'm like, "I'll tell you as soon as I know. I'll let you know." But like, there's just something with him with the fan base. We talk about it all the time. Yeah. And then the Sid relationship has just been pouring over these last couple of years, where like it was kind of hidden. Like we knew that they were friends, but like I don't think anybody knew how outside of like the locker room knew how great of friends they are. And there's just a bunch of media pieces coming out. So I think if Dubas is smart, which I think he is definitely going to he's going to make sure Gino's around because that would make the captain pretty happy.
He has made his case. There's no doubt that he made his case. Yeah. If Dubas just wants to get younger for the sake of being younger, which I think would be a mistake, only because of I don't like just getting rid of guys, especially the captain's best friend, for the sake of doing it when he's been very productive and will be cheap. This would it would almost be out of spite to move him now.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And also, it's not like he'd be blocking Ben Kindle from anything. There will be plenty of ice time for Ben next year. And really, it's not like the 90s when the third line was this shutdown line and the fourth line was just tough guys. Like the game has really changed. The second line and third line, it's not really that different. So I don't think Ben's responsibilities would be impacted that much by whether Gino is around next year or not. And it's not like they have a number two center on the horizon who's going to be blocked, or even a number two. There's room for Gino to play, and I give him so much credit. I really think the last 2 years, Joe, he's really cut down on the bad penalties and the turnovers. He's become, I don't know if mature is the right word. I don't want to take a shot at a Hall of Famer, but he's not doing the dumb stuff as much. He's really not, and he's still putting up more than a point per game. Well, what else do you want?
And I know I'm not like a Gino apologist, but can he get a call?
Oh, I mean, God!
The guy, the Sabre guy just fell down. He didn't touch him.
Can the team get a call? It's become a story. The first year coach and his team not getting many calls, even though they had the puck an awful lot of the time. Man,
that would be a 5-hour show. I just mean in general. I mean, yeah, he's earned 85% of his dumb penalties, but he never gets a break.
No, he doesn't get a call.
For a top 50 all-time player,
right?
The least,
totally
some of the least amount of respect. I think they should hire Joe as an assistant coach just to be the guy to give it to the referees. Be like Dan Muse's like tough guy that walks in. I mean, you ran security for the Pirates. You know how to bounce some people.
Well, it really just comes down to the respect. It's a Canadian hatred of the franchise. I hate to sound paranoid, but it really is. They're still mad that we got Mario. Then they're super mad we got Sid. They'll never get over it. They keep trying to beg Sid to leave.
Well, Corey, I'm dating myself now, but you were talking about Joe being an assistant just to give the referees hell. I'm reminded of in the 90s when the Penguins had a trainer by the name of Skip Thayer, who one time took off his glasses and waved them at Paul Stewart, who was refereeing the game. It's one of my favorite Penguins memories from the 90s. I think Joe could do that and then some, actually.
Remember when I wouldn't want to hurt these nice glasses, though. I would have to hold on to. Remember when the referee would? This might be before your time, but definitely back in the Mario era, but I don't think we were good yet. They always have a guy walking around in the ref outfit with the walking stick.
Yes,
with the dark sunglasses, walk up and down the aisles.
Oh yeah. Back when fans were fans, yes.
You don't see those creatures anymore in PPG Arena. Those guys.
No, you don't. And I do remember that was incredibly funny. In fact, now we could have some fun with that. I think that's actually a pretty good idea. I like it.
Hey, you know what? I think we sit behind the net and there we go. We get the referee jersey on like that guy. Remember that guy that wore him for the 09 Cup? Yeah, like one guy wore a referee jersey right in the corner every single game. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Three Blind Mice too. The other thing they always used to play at the arena. Remember?
Does every rookie call up get the same 4 seats? Because I swear that Hayes' parents' seats were exactly where Jake Gensel's family seats were.
Probably, yeah. They're all kind of behind the one net,
but they're at the same like height level too. Like not too good of seats.
Yeah, you're not quite here yet.
That's right.
You're not sitting next to Mr. Malkin yet. Before we get to Olympic stuff too, and this kind of does lead into Olympic stuff, but thoughts and prayers with one Craig Patrick and his recovery. Josh, you kind of broke that story last week, and I guess it's been going on for a while, but kind of under wraps. But give us an update on Craig Patrick, our beloved GM.
Yeah, it's funny. I had known about it for a while, and I'm not the only person in the media who did. It was on Thursday in Buffalo last week. A couple of Penguins officials called me basically and asked me if I would write it because I think Craig's family wanted it out there. Just from what I've heard, all the well wishes are really good for him, and I know his wife actually read him some of the quotes from the article. Things that his old players had to say about him. And I know Brian Trottier was the very first guy to visit him in the hospital, and Trotz gave him a big pep talk because that's who Trotz is. He's Mr. Positivity. Yeah, for those who don't know, Craig Patrick, the legendary former Penguins GM, who also has been in the news lately just because of his great work on the Netflix documentary on the Miracle Team, which was just phenomenal. Yeah, Craig had a stroke right around Christmas. He was getting ready to go to a party, I think, and he just kind of slumped over in his living room and had a stroke, and his wife knew there was something wrong immediately. He's been in the hospital for over a month. This week he is scheduled to come home, so that's obviously good news. I think from what I've heard, I don't want to get into the specifics, but I think he's got a long road ahead of him. I think he's still really struggling. Unbelievably nice man. I've had the pleasure of dealing with Craig many, many times over the years. He always sits in the press box with EJ during games. You just want to sit in between those two and talk hockey, and you do all the listening because they have all the stories, right? So just a giant in Penguins history. Craig Patrick is genuinely good guy. Certainly praying for a speedy recovery for him because I miss having Craig in the press box. He is such of a Penguins lifer, even though he's worked for other teams. He just loves that organization so much. We all miss having him there.
Yeah, we did I had a really funny, I'll pat myself on the back, one of my favorite soft dumps in a decade. And I ended with a tap of the stick to Mr. Patrick because he basically was instrumental in my two favorite teams of all time.
Yeah.
Mike Eruzioni's 1980 Olympic team and Mario's 1990, Penguins in the USA Hockey. And I've only met him, just thank you, Mr. Patrick. Just the nicest man in the world.
Oh, he really is. And people, the young people today maybe don't know how good of a general manager he was in his prime. What he did, there was an 8-month span during the 90-91 season when he brought, I think it was 7 Hall of Famers into the organization. Think about that. Bob Johnson and Scotty Bowman on the coach's side. Then he either signed or made trades for Brian Trottier, Larry Murphy, Ron Francis, Joey Mullen, and I think I'm forgetting one. There were 7 Hall of Famers in all. It's unbelievable what he did.
And the balls.
The cojones to trade the wrecking ball and the doctor the year after we won the cup to bring back cup number 2 with Tocchet and Shell Samuelson.
I mean, unbelievable. And the coolest thing about Craig, like that was during a time when a lot of teams just didn't want to bring in European players. There was a bias against them. They wanted nothing to do with them. Craig didn't give a shit where you were from, starting with the Yager pick. And then I think that started 8 of 10 first-round draft picks that he made were European players, guys like Marty Straka and Alexei Morozov, unbelievably talented hockey players. And I think that was something Craig really learned from working with Herb Brooks. Like, we think of Herb Brooks as, okay, the American coach who brought down the Russians and he must have hated the Russians. Like, no, he didn't. Herb Brooks studied Russia and thought they were thought they were the most amazing hockey team he'd ever seen. Like, he had a great appreciation for them. And I think Craig probably developed a lot of that from working with Herb. And Craig had no bias. And it got to the point where Yager, it's a great story where Yager and Craig Patrick talked before the draft. And Yager told him, like, I'm not going to go play for those other teams. I'm going to tell them, like, I want to play with Mario. And Craig's like, all right, I think you're going to be okay. You can come play with us if you want.
That worked out.
Yeah. And real quick, since we were talking about Gino, I should mention, and some people might say, it's bullshit, I don't believe it. But boys, probably 9 or 10 years ago now, I was talking with Craig about the 2004 draft, and Penguins got the 2nd pick and took Malkin. And he told me, he said, if we had the top pick, maybe I would have had to have taken Ovechkin because he would have filled the arena up, and we needed that at that time. But he said, I always thought Malkin was the better player. He said, just from what I saw of him as a 17-year-old prospect, I was so blown away by him that I really would have wanted to draft him no matter what. That's how good I thought he was.
In many ways, he kind of, I agree with him. I mean, obviously Ovechkin's,
what he means,
goal scorer ever, but I know exactly what he means. And, and then Craig, I never had much of it. Like, he wouldn't know me, but the type of guy he is. So, Wayback Machine here. And Sid's rookie year was the year that I was in college and I took a ushering job at the arena. And the first place that the 18-year-old usher goes is the F balcony. They don't give you the good spot. So I'm up in the F balcony. I saw Craig walking up to the press box pretty much every game, and he would just stop, say hi, how you doing, and I'm like, he doesn't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he could just blow me off. I'm some 18-year-old that's like, oh my God, that's Craig Patrick. So great guy. And again, I was going to say, Joe, you said the balls to trade. That's a great call with the trading of Recchi and the doctor. But the balls to have, they talk about it in the one from the Heart documentary of that 91 Cup team. He said, he surrounded himself with highly qualified successors if he failed. He had Scotty Bowman right there. He had all these great hockey minds right around him that if Craig Patrick stunk that year, it would have been easy to be like, let's slide this guy into the GM role.
No, you're absolutely right, and that does take some guts to surround yourself with the likes of Scotty Bowman. I mean, really, think about who we're talking about here. But Craig was not afraid. He really was not. He had a quiet confidence about himself. And if you want to go back and look at the transactions through Penguins history, look at what he did in the 90s. Seriously, look at the names he brought here. Even Luke Robitaille and Sergei Zubov and Alexei Kovalev. There's some all-time great hockey players that he brought to Pittsburgh.
Well, and, he was the first guy that we had that was like, okay, he's hockey royalty. He's from the Patrick family. Like, he's in charge. He kind of began us being a legitimate organization.
Yes, he absolutely did. He's you can make an argument he's one of the 5 most important figures in franchise history. And I wouldn't really disagree with that. If you want to make it Mario and Mike Lang and Crosby and Yager, like he might be number 5. He's that important.
Yeah. It's funny because I definitely put the Hall of Famer in the top 3.
No, always.
He's number 3.
That goes without saying.
We've talked about it on the show all the time, but it's like I was around before the big guy, and everyone knew Mike Lang. No one knew who Oris Kindertruck or Doug Shedden was.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, there's an argument to be made that is there a team here? Is there any popularity of the Penguins without Mike Lang before Mario?
Maybe not.
It's he was the guy. So yeah, thoughts and prayers with Craig Patrick and his family, and we're looking forward to him having a full recovery. One thing he would want us to talk about, absolutely, is Team USA Hockey.
Oh yeah.
And I got to be honest, I was a little down on Team USA, and I just kind of was like, okay, Canada's going to win it. Resign myself to that, and then I started to look. I looked through our group. So the Penguins, the U.S. is with Germany and Latvia and Denmark. And I'm like, well, they should be in the running for the first round bye come the elimination round. They should probably have it, if they don't go 3-0 or that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But I don't know. I mean, I'm all of a sudden having a maybe it's because I watched the documentary twice and also Miracle. So I don't know. But Joe, what are your thoughts on, what are you looking forward to in the matchups here? Because, I mean, they're not exactly, the great, it's not U.S. versus Canada in the round robin, but
no,
do you think we go 3-0?
I think I can speak for Mr. Patrick when I say this, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. And I'm glad that somebody as esteemed as a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, impossibly, sorry, Jesus, the best player in the NHL, Nikita Kucherov, said this week, it's not best on best because the Russians aren't there. And I think Mr. Patrick would like to see the Russians there. And I just get mad every time, Josh, that the Russians aren't going to be there. It's just BS. It's just BS.
Of course it is.
That they're not there. I would love the Russian lineup is the forwards are absolutely disgustingly sick. And we can talk about them in a little bit because I will answer Corey's question. I think the United States is almost dead even in talent with Canada. And I think they'll come in with the silver. The reason why they won't win the Stanley Cup is because the Canadian captain, besides having Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Jesus, their captain is Sidney Crosby. And the American captain, Austin Matthews, this is per the old 2-9er, Last time he won anything was at midget in Bantam. No goals in the 6 game sevens he's played. No goals. He's only won 4 of 21 playoff series. 4 nations. We needed a chance. We needed the tournament on his stick. He didn't score, and he let McDavid beat him. So that's our captain in America. Oh, all Canada has is the serial winner, Sidney Crosby.
Well, who might be the greatest captain in hockey history? You could make the argument at this point. And that's the difference. Like when I look at Team USA, Corey, I like their blue line better than Canada's. I sure as hell like their goaltending better than Canada. I don't care if Hellebuck's the biggest choke artist ever. I'll still take him over any of the guys Canada has. But Canada has Crosby and McDavid. And they have Makar and McKinnon and one other name that we should remember. They have Macklin Celebrini, who I wouldn't be shocked if he lights it up in the Olympics. I just think he's that good. When you have that kind of star power, you're still going to be the favorite, even if you're not as deep or as good defensively as the Americans are. Can the Americans beat them? Absolutely, they can. I don't think it's some given that Canada would beat them in the gold medal game. The U.S. could beat them. But history tells us to go with the team with the best top tier talent, and that's still what Canada has. And Joe, it's hard to bet against Sid in what might be his last Olympics, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's just. I'm not going to make everyone do math here, but count all the Stanley Cups that Canada has. Okay, just count them. Okay, there's Celebrini. Okay, that's 0. Jesus, that's 0. But then we got Wilson, the Rat, McKinnon, Suzuki, the Stone, Sidney, Reinhart, Taves, Makar, Doughty, Parayko.
A lot of people that know how to win a Stanley Cup.
Sammy Bennett. Okay. Yeah. Here's the United States. Okay. Kachuk, Jack Eichel, 1. Okay. Those 2. Brady, nothing. Jake. Okay. Jake. Matthews, nothing. Boldy, nothing. Larkin, nothing. Tage Thompson, nothing. JT Miller, nothing. Brock Nelson, nothing. Jack Hughes, nothing. Let's move to defense. Hugh, nothing. Quinn, nothing. Slavin, nothing. Faber, nothing. Hannafin, nothing. Charlie Mack, nothing. Oh, okay. It's like, but I'm glad Sullivan didn't want to take Rusty because he's never scored a big goal. Because Jack Hughes has scored so many big goals. Austin Matthews, so many big goals. I'm disgusted with the way the Olympic team was put together.
Joe, doesn't it? It blows me away that Matthew Tkachuk isn't the captain of this team. I think he's such of an obvious choice.
He's a heartbeat.
He is, and I know for a fact that there's kind of a faction on that team. Like he's the guy, all right. He's the leader of that group, and he's the one who shows up in big games, who has 2 Stanley Cup rings, who stared down McDavid in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final and outplayed him.
Yeah,
I know he's not the captain of his own team. That's because you have Barkov, who I think is also a great captain. Okay, I don't understand. And then Matthews, like you said, he's never been known to be a good captain. He hasn't been one for very long. He's the captain of the team that is synonymous with losing around the National Hockey League. Like to be the captain of the Maple Leafs isn't exactly the flex that, hey, Sidney Crosby's our captain. I don't know how Kachuk's not the captain. And you're right. It was his guy. He let McDavid loose on the game-winning goal. He had a chance to bury the Canadians, and he didn't do it. He's never come up big in a big game in his life, literally. It's just a very curious decision to me.
I mean, if you want to just not pick a Kachuk or whatever, then how about Larkin? Captain of the Red Wings, just an overall great player. If you're looking for a captain, I don't know. I'm not trying to pick on Vinny Trocheck, but I mean, you really didn't bring Jason Robinson. How many? Oh, so Vinny Trocheck's going to win a draw, and that's going to win you the gold medal. As opposed to Rusty going 1-on-3 and barreling through, or as opposed to Robinson who you want in the power play. Jason Robinson or Vinny Trocheck?
You know, they do the thing where they always announce like the first 5 or 6 players on the team like a year in advance, and they announce the rest. Like Robertson probably should have been one of those guys. Like he's that good. Like,
Yeah.
he really is. Like he's one of their 5. I think he's one of the 5 best American forwards.
How about Cole Caulfield? They need a big goal. They didn't bring Cole Caulfield.
I know. No, I mean, so they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves with the decisions that they've made. I think their best bet is to win 2-1, 3-2 games, especially against Canada or Sweden, because they do have a really good blue line. They do. And they have a goaltender who, okay, Hellebuck hasn't been great in the playoffs in his career. I acknowledge that. He's really good. You can envision them winning games by just physically beating people up and taking advantage of that great blue line. But you still need to score some, and I just don't know that in a one-off against Canada that they have the offense to get it done. Because Joe, Canada's going to score. You're not going to shut them down.
I think I definitely argued that on Puck Off. I definitely argue with Pursuta probably off air. There's no way they're holding Jesus and McKinnon and Sid and Reinhardt to 2 goals. Look at that power play. It's one thing. I know. Oh my God. How can Hyman not make it? Because Hyman isn't Macklin Salabrini, you idiots.
Right.
Imagine Jesus spinning around and there's Salabrini in the slot.
All right. I mean, that team is so loaded up front that Sidney Crosby's on the 3rd line right now, basically.
I mean, look. Okay? I can't wait to watch that power play. Oh. That power play is like from heaven.
We saw it in the 4 Nations the very first time they had one. McDavid down to Sid behind the back, McKinnon goal. Like took 10 seconds. No, I mean I guess it's NHL refs that are the refs in the Olympics. I don't know that for a fact. I think that's usually how they do it.
It is.
So there might only be 1 power play a game because of that. That's something to keep in mind. But still, you're right.
I just think they should have had Jason Robertson. They should have had. I mean, I'll even say DeBrincat maybe, but at least they had to have Robertson. They had to have Cole Caulfield, and I think Rusty. Because who's Mr. Elimination? Who can you put anywhere on any line? It is a winner. These guys are they're living my dream. They're playing for Team USA. So I'm not going to backstay this, but none of these guys are serial winners except maybe the Kachuk brothers.
Well, I think it's funny you bring that up because the Kachuk brothers played really well in the 4 Nations. Aside from the brawl, they were really good. You know who else was maybe their best player was Jake Gensel, a guy who knows how to win. So I think the pressure on those 3 guys, because they always show up in big games, they need to keep doing it, and they need to be productive. I don't know how healthy Matthew is. I know he's made his return. He doesn't have many games under his belt, but I was just thinking about Jake Gensel. Man, they need Jake to score, and he always does in big games, but they need him to be great.
Josh, how much pressure do you think is on Sully?
Oh, I mean, this is a legacy tournament for him.
Yep.
Because in the last 12 months, like, look at what's happened. He's gone to the Rangers. They've gone to shit. He's left the Penguins. They've risen back up the standings again. And now, he and Billy Guerin are taking a lot of heat for the lineup choices they've made. If the U.S. flames out and doesn't get a medal or gets embarrassed by Canada even, it's not going to look very good for his legacy. And it reminds me of 12 years ago when Dan Bylsma suffered a very similar fate. Some of the players didn't like Dan, didn't think he was that great of a coach in the Olympics, fairly or not. I know there was some criticism of him. They didn't do anything that terrible in 2014. They lost to Canada 1-0 in the semifinals. I remember talking with Ray Shero after the game, and he literally looked at me. He said, "We just lost to the greatest fucking team ever constructed, 1-0. I'm not ashamed of ourselves, And that was fair, but Bylsma never escaped what that Olympic did to his legacy. And I think Sully's dealing with something similar now.
And let's be fair. We love disco. We love Billy G. Love power forwards, big shoulders, soft hands. Neither of those guys are close to being a Hall of Famer. He doesn't come away with a silver medal. I think this really hurts his candidacy because I don't see the Rangers getting any better. I picked them to win the Metro this year, so what do I know? But I mean, they seem to be tearing it apart.
I will also say, if the Americans do win the gold medal, and if you're Mike Sullivan, you claim gold for the first time as an American coach since 1980, and you have 2 Stanley Cups on your resume, that's a different
There
story.
you go.
That's why it's such of a fascinating
And you take
fortnight
the
for his.
buyout, and you work on the ESPN. You sit next to Pierre.
Yeah,
PK Subban.
that's right. I mean,
You
he's
do.
Sully's wealthy one way or the other. He's got the money part figured out. But no, there might be more pressure on him in this Olympics than anybody. Really, if you look at it that way. I mean, maybe McDavid, because people are going to say, well, he's got to win one. But McDavid did win the 4 Nations in overtime, so I think that did something for the people who think he can't win.
Well, I actually think it's a close tie. I give it to maybe Sullivan, but I don't. Just the pressure that Sid puts on himself.
Yeah.
I think it's on Sid. Sid's the captain of the presumably favorite. McJesus will always hide behind. Well, he's the associate captain. I mean, he's been given. They already gave the guy the Conn Smythe. He shot goose eggs in Game 6 and Game 7. He's tough on. They're never gonna blame Sid for not being good enough to play on the second line with him.
It's a different
McDavid.
It's a different kind of pressure on Sid. And the pressure on him is this is probably his last Olympics. He's never failed. Like he's going for perfection, which is a different kind of pressure. Like if they don't win the gold, it's not like we're going to say Sidney Crosby's still not a serial winner. We will. But man, how many people can say I went to 3 Olympics, won all 3, and only 4 nations I won. My only World Cup of hockey I won. Like Team Canada, like in the big events, I don't consider the World Championships the big event. Like in his professional life, he's never failed to win the championship in any tournament he's been in with Canada. So that record of perfection is on the line, which is a different kind of thing for him. But it's real. I talked to him last week about it, and Sid being Sid, he just kind of that's the old Chuck Noll line. Like if you're prepared, you're not going to be nervous. That's basically what Sid said. Like I've done my work, and now I'm just going to go play. But still, the pressure on him is something that we can't really imagine.
And he wants to be perfect. Like it would just stick in his craw for the rest of his life.
Of course.
Well, isn't it too like when you strive for perfection, at least you end up with greatness? Isn't that like a famous quote?
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing that. I mean, Edmonton, they showed like the captains, like they showed Sid, McCarr, and McKinnon and McDavid, and they're like, look at our captain. It's like he's an associate captain. He's wearing an A. Take it down a notch, Edmonton. It really makes you not want Canada to win because of the clowns in Canada. But I'll never, ever, ever root against Sidney Crosby.
No, I got a lot of hate for saying they should have given it to McKinnon because he's actually won something, giving him the A. But anyways, we're gonna get to Joe's Lord's work and also a little recap of the Super Bowl. But we got to give a shout out to Danny's Pizza and Hoagies. Joe, you went there last week, did you not, for lunch?
I went there last week. Absolutely. Of course, I talked to their great owner, Alex, for a good half hour talking Penguin hockey. As always, and we were so happy with what transpired. I'm sorry, we were nervous. We were totally nervous because then we talk almost every other day. So then we were very happy about Buffalo. I knew we had our thoughts. We were very worried. Very worried. It all came through. Yeah, and I will be there on Thursday or Friday because my girlfriend's coming to town, and the first thing she wants to do is go to Danny's and get the Italian. It is the best. And like always, be a pro, get a square cut as well. And the pizzas are fabulous. Everything's fabulous. Right before you get to South Park on Library Road, otherwise known as Route 88, it's 5159 Library Road. It's a little bit right before you get to South Park. It's on the left if you're going south. Bethel Park, PA, and the number is 412-833-7788. 412-833-7788. It's the best. It's the best. Tell Alex we sent you, and definitely get the Italian and get a square cut, and then bring a pizza home for the family.
I like that Rachel's going to bring the Italian to get the Italian hoagie. That's perfect. She's a woman of good taste, clearly.
Oh, she everyone I've ever brought there, and I can list like 20 people. I could list them. I can put the number on the air, and you can call them, and they'd say, "Oh my God, it's the best."
It is. yeah, they're our sponsor, but I will take a lie detector test. That place is the best. I've spent many a dollar in that place, and I've not regretted one of them.
I
It is
know. I mean,
wonderful.
it's great that he's a sponsor. We talked about it for years
The
anyway.
bonus. I know. Yeah.
I know.
We talk about them anyway. Like,
Yeah.
And you get to talk hockey the whole time. So
No, I know. And the staff is killer. The staff loves hockey too, and they're all great people. But really, the food, the pizza, and the hoagies, you can't beat them.
No, not at all. So thank you, Danny's and Alex at Danny's. So Joe, who did the Lord's work this week for you, taking down anything related to the Flyers?
Well, I teased it because I think it's just great for the young Flyers, the wannabe Flyers, to understand that we own them. I'm giving it to Mr. Dumba. That hat trick against the Phantoms on Friday night. It was just great stuff.
Absolutely. Just bury them early. Let them know who's, you want them to know who their daddy is.
And I believe we're 6. I believe we've won. We've won 6 and got a loser point in 1. I think we've always got at least 1 point from those guys in the season series. I think we're 6-0-1 because it was the Flyer feed, which was disgusting.
Yeah, you don't want to.
And here's a little plug, a little shout out. I was switching back between that and the Robert Morris Colonials taking on. They took on Canisius. On the call was our buddy Tim Benz and Mike Pursuta. It was good stuff.
Oh, excellent. How did Bobby Moe fare that night?
They won.
Oh, good for Bobby Moe.
They're right there.
Yeah, they're all.
Dare I say, nobody loves USA hockey quite like the great Mike Pursuta. These are a big 2 weeks for him.
Oh yeah, he's in his glory.
I know he is.
Oh, back to my Usher days, it was easy to find Mike Pursuta in the game because he was wearing a USA Hockey jersey or a Michigan State jersey. So,
he had to change wardrobes.
quick story on him. Some of you may know my ex-wife is from Canada, and many years, like 2012, her older son Brad, who's Canadian, obviously. I was out with him at an event, actually at the Riverhound Stadium, and Mike Pursuta was there. And Pursuta literally walked up to him and said, "Oh, I hear you're the Canuck." not a Team Canada guy, Mike Pursuta.
No, I mean, if you listen to the TV morning show, he's up early watching the World Championships every year.
Yeah,
like I mean, it's the real deal for him.
Yes.
So,
he will not be rooting for Sidney Crosby.
No.
No, I got to join him there.
I just want Sid to be happy. Whatever that is. I just love Sid.
To me, that's a consolation.
I don't root against the United States. I have a funny feeling that I don't know. I picked Canada gold, USA second, silver, but I don't know if USA is going to get that far. I don't know. I do not like, unless Swayman plays. I'm a big Ottinger guy, but Ottinger does not come up big when he has to. Josh,
I have mixed feelings about who to cheer for, by the way. Like, I'm an American. I always cheer for the USA. But there's some, I'm not going to name any names. There's some guys on that team that I don't really like in my dealings with them. And I have the greatest of affection for Sidney Crosby, maybe the best human being I've ever met in my life. And I know how much it would mean to him. So
plus your kids are Canadian too. Who do they root for?
Well, right. That goes without saying. So, I have mixed feelings. I hope they play though. I do. And I think it would be good for hockey, certainly North America, if they play. But do not forget about the Swedes. That team's really good. You don't want to play those guys on a one-off. That team can play.
Erik Karlsson and Raquel.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a formidable roster.
I really thought that the Finns would be good. I didn't like Barkov's injury though.
No. Oh no, Barkov were healthy. That would change things a lot, I think.
Yep.
Because he's not, I think they're the clear fourth.
Yeah, because I take out Canada. I thought they had the next best 4 centers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I would agree with that. And the Finns will make your life miserable. You know, it's going to be a 2-1 overtime game. I just don't know if they have the talent to run through the Americans and the Canadians. I kind of doubt it.
I'm going to say it again. I'm not going to say this again. I'm going to say this for the first time. Putin should just put like 20 million rubles or whatever it is, whatever it is to get Sid and McKinnon, all those guys to go over and play a game in Moscow. Wouldn't that be just in the summer? Wouldn't that just be great?
You know,
it'd be like Rocky 4.
You know what's funny? Before the world really got crazy, you have these overseas games every year. Penguins were in Sweden this year. There was a time, this is like 15 years ago, when I know the NHL discussed having the Penguins and Capitals play a regular season game like in St. Petersburg or in Moscow, which would have been unbelievable. Like, oh my God, what an experience that would have been. But obviously, the way things are now, that won't be happening anytime soon. But to see like Ovechkin and Crosby and Malkin playing against one another like in a real game on Russian soil, that would have been pretty wild. Huh?
Oh my God! Yeah, it's just. I mean, politics makes me sick. I just want to watch hockey. I was in that game in Red Square. Like it's like who, like really? You think? I mean, well, maybe Obi does have some say with what Putin does, but nobody else does.
Rocky Balboa didn't mind. He'd go over and it was fine.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm with you, Joe. I hate politics, and I'm like, like for the 99.9% of the rest of the world that don't care what happens in those little offices, you know what I mean? Like where all those politicians do their stuff. It's like, just let us have hockey.
That's right.
I mean, for God's sake, there's video of Adolf Hitler. I'm not gonna say his name. There's video of Hitler sitting at the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like in the 40s. Like just put politics aside. Let the sports play.
Well, it was nice seeing Jesse Owens like kick Hitler's ass in the Olympics. That was a great thing. That's
exactly
that's a great point, Corey.
Like there's a reason, and even in 1980, they were afraid that the Russians were going to come. We were actually in an actual Cold War with them, and they were like, oh, the Russians might not come. Like US was like, well, they might not play us. This is going to be bad for us. And the Russians were like, no, we're coming, So I don't know. I mean, this is just, I can't even. Yeah, Joe, I'm right there with you. My face is probably getting redder by the moment.
I blame Canada. I don't blame Sid or McKinnon. I blame the people. I blame the suits behind Canadian hockey because they're scared because they know they at least have a silver wrapped up if Russia doesn't show up.
That's true.
Russia shows up, they might lose too. I mean, a rejuvenated Malkin who went to show the world, Ovi, Kirill, Cooch.
And like 7 of the 10 best goalies in the world, by the way.
Yeah. But no. There's a war no one cares about. No.
Yep.
That's more important. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's we got to wrap up, but we'll wrap up with the Super Bowl. Because we mentioned it. Bill Neofis was thrilled to see the Patriots lose. I think we all were. And I gotta be honest. I mean, the Patriots, we all talked about it. I think everybody was kind of feeling this way ahead of time. Like, man, they had the easiest schedule. They played a backup in the AFC Championship game. Just like the biggest cream puff schedule going into a Super Bowl. Were they like that? Might have been one of the worst teams to participate in a Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that they're a really, really bad team. They're not the Browns, but like they just you could tell from the beginning, even when it was 6-0, 9-0, you're like, this team has no chance.
Yeah, I think more than anything, we have learned that the NFC is just a lot better than the AFC right now. I think the Seahawks-Rams game was clearly the Super Bowl 2 weeks early. I just think there's a lot more talent in the NFC. And yeah, New England, a lot of things went right for them, but you kind of felt like they could have played Seattle 10 times and they weren't going to win any of those games. The Seahawks were just physically dominant and impressive. They were never going to move the ball against that Seattle defense. I think Seattle's a worthy champion. But I think the Patriots are just an indication, an illustration that the AFC is in a little bit of a down phase right now.
I felt so happy for Sam Darnold. He got drafted to the Jets, kicked around. What a great story. I was happy for him. And I know, Josh, I know you hate instant replay or not replay review. But Gene Steratore was on the radio this morning, and I asked him because to me the biggest play of the game was when it was still 6-0. The Seahawks were obviously offsides on a 4th and 4.
They were,
and they didn't use the review. Yeah. You have a whole setup where, hey, anything they can call that, and they didn't use it then.
Oh, no.
And I got the word from Gene that they're not allowed to review offsides. They can't buzz down for that. But
which is stupid, by the way, because why not?
And you would
do
think
everything else.
But he said if he was in the game, that's if offsides is worth a first down, that they should have been right on it, and he kind of threw the guys on the field on the bus. Like, you should have called that. Other than that, that was their last chance to do anything.
Yeah.
It was the commercial stunk. The game stunk. It was just it was a
Yeah, it was not a
the wings were good. My mom's wings were good.
Two Super Bowls in a row that were really bad games. It was nice seeing the Chiefs and Patriots lose 2 years in a row, I guess. But I can't say that there was anything overly compelling about that game the other night. That happens. There have been 60 Super Bowls, and a lot of them have been duds. But congratulations to the Seahawks. That is some kind of a football team. That defense was really special, I thought. But I really think the Seahawks and Rams were the two best teams in the league, and they played a great NFC Championship game, and Seattle won, and that's why they won the Super Bowl.
I will say this. I will say this about Seattle fans, especially the ones living on all of them, I guess, live on the West Coast. They don't like the Steelers.
Oh no!
Oh, they're
still bitter. Yes,
they still are.
They didn't like a couple of those calls going against them in Super Bowl 40, as I recall. So
they're way butthurt about that game still to this day. I don't know how many Super Bowls will make them forget about it, but
yeah, I think they they still don't understand that if you push a defensive back away from you to catch a touchdown, that it's offensive pass interference.
And listen,
no matter how.
You're right. To their credit, in the last 20 years, they've been in 4 Super Bowls and they've won 2. That's pretty good. Like that's a really great franchise.
Yeah. And again, Sam Darnold escaping the hellhole that is the New York Jets.
Good for him.
Sorry for my brother-in-law. This is like my brother-in-law is a Jets fan, and this is just so painful for Jets fans. Like, this is the most Jets thing to ever happen.
It is. Speaking of Sam Darnold, I don't know if you guys saw this. I saw the tweet on Sunday. I had to look it up to make sure it was real. Did you know Sam Darnold's grandfather was actually the model that was like the Marlboro Man and the Marlboro Man commercials and the billboards? I had no idea. Yeah, that's like actually legitimate, which I think is great.
I learned that this week. I mean, I didn't watch any of the pregame or anything. But.
Me neither, but I saw the tweet. Wow, that's pretty funny.
That's awesome. Yeah. They should make T-shirts with him having a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Like, one of my memories from being a kid at Three River Stadium in the 80s was the massive Marlboro Man thing at the top of the stadium. Like, it was everywhere back then. So,
oh my God, yeah.
Sam's grandpa.
Yeah. But that's wild. Well, hey, that'll do it for us this week on Two for Talking. We appreciate you guys as always. Again, check out our sponsors, Neophis Insurance and Danny's Pizzas and Hoagies, and we will talk to you guys later.